let's bring in our good friend here, Kory Woods, mlive.com, joining the show, man. We got a lot of things to talk with Kory about. He does some great work, covers the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Pistons, but he's locked into the Lions right now. Please welcome to the show, Kory Woods. Kory, how we doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Hey, Kory, there's this whole week already of training camp has been a lot of stuff's happening. I want to start and ask you just like your perspective on the practice intensity. Apparently, Maurice Norris got kicked out of practice. Practice got too physical. Dan had to step in. I know Dan got asked questions about that. Well, obviously, with the injuries last year, people are all concerned about the physicality in practice. What did you kind of make of that whole debacle, in your opinion, on the physicality today? No pads, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, first off, just about the injuries, I don't think that's really anything to worry about quite just yet. I mean, unless you're hearing about guys that are not coming back for the rest of the season, like Levi Onwuzurike, I really wouldn't put too much stock in it because, I mean, this is a very violent sport. People are going to get hurt. But when you're talking about today, yes, that was the physicality in practice was very up there. It was turned up a notch. And the reason that Dan, halted practice, because, I mean, these guys are not in pads yet. As he liked to say, they're in their pajamas. So there were guys out there tackling DBs were coming downhill pretty fast, and Dan just stopped them and just kind of just got issued out his warning and said, "Hey, watch out for things." Maurice Norris, he was one of those guys. He went ahead and he hit he blasted he blasted Tesla pretty good, and then followed up moments later after the warning and hit another rookie, hit Dominic Lovett. So, that's what went ahead and got him dismissed. I might have to order that backwards. It's a long day. But yeah, those are the two guys that he leveled that got him taken out. And Kirby Joseph was one of the guys that walked off the field with them, just being a supportive teammate. And Kirby's perspective is, hey, guys are turned up right now, but as of right now, he'll kind of urge them to slow down because, I mean, after all, their teammates, when you go ahead and get the pads on, still got to tackle and whatnot. But right now, the physicality, you don't want guys tackling full speed when there's no, pads on.
Yeah, hey Kory, one thing that I'm always interested, especially in the first week of camp, is obviously you're kind of getting to look at both sides of the ball. How do they both look, especially like the ones? Can I ask you, since you've been in the building and kind of watching these reps and these different kind of 7-on-7s and as well as just full reps, who do you think offensively or defensively has looked the best so far? I know it's hard to tell without pads, but when you kind of look at who's the sharpest, when they do kind of go 11-on-11 or kind of go through those reps, who's winning the most battles out of the offense and defense? Is it the Kelvin Shepherd defense or is it the Johnny Moe offense that they have going on right now?
It's kind of been up and down, and I don't mean that in a bad way, just more so it's really hard to gauge it when you're not in pads. I mean, the guys are just pretty much just kind of running through the motion. But I will say that, Jameson Williams, he's been a little bit up and down, but I mean the speed is there. He said he didn't put on any weight. It looks like he put on a little bit, but he said he stepped on the scale, he was still the same size. It was more so muscle. David Montgomery, he has looked like a very determined guy out there. To me, he looks like he leaned up pretty good and put on lean muscle. He's been out there super quick. Johnny on the spot in off the backfield. As far as the defense, DJ Reed has looked phenomenal. Tyrion Arnold has looked great. Avonte Maddox, who they just signed in free agency, he's been looking good in the slot. But I mean, everybody wants to hear how has Hutch been doing, and that's the one guy that I've been having my eye on. Hutch's lateral movement, how he comes off the line, how violent he is. They don't have him on pads yet, but I mean, Hutch has looked pretty damn good. Like he doesn't fear to be favored in anything. He looks like he's ready to go. And I mean, I was talking to Ben Raven, my partner on the Lions beat. I said Hutch looks pissed.
I've interrupted the video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Comer and Cross, and their one-day installation for concrete floor coatings, garages, basements, patios. They do it all. And I'm sure you're tired of staring at your crack-stained garage floor. Well, I have the answer for you. Comer and Cross in their summer installation sale, they're offering 12 months same as cash or $500 in savings. Why put it off? You can contact the number 248-834-3488. They transform patios, pool decks, basements, even driveways. They do it all. And The best part is they move the stuff out for you. They repair your cracks and pits before applying your stunning new floor, guaranteed. Comer and Cross concrete floors never chip, crack, or peel like epoxy or paint. Again, you could call the number 248-834-3488, or you can book your free estimate at comercross.com. Let's get back to the video. Yeah, that's I feel like he's just always pissed. I think that's just like the fair thing for Hutch, especially off an injury. So that's great news. But Kory, another player that's pissed is Alex Anzalone. Guy's pissed. You saw the videos coming out of him talking to you guys, and clearly he's frustrated. It was kind of, it seems like this has been kind of brewing for a while. We talked about it before you got on. I know you were listening a little bit. Can I just get your take on the timeline of maybe in your mind of how this thing kind of started, and how I can see both perspectives. I can see it from Brad's perspective, from a business perspective, and then I can see it on a human level from Anzo. But what's your kind of takeaway from this Anzo situation, and maybe your confidence level that there may be an agreement, or you think this is heading towards maybe a breakup?
Yeah, so I caught the Anzo situation, his presser. I caught that afterward because you've been at Allen Park for training camp. Everything's kind of a little bit spread out. So when they were talking to Anzo, I was over there talking to Jamison Williams during the time. But I called up on what Anzalone said afterward, and it is very understandable for him to feel like that. I mean, he's been their green dot, their defensive captain his whole time here. First 2 years, you can argue whether it's up or down, but these last 2 years, he's been sensational. When they were going through their run last year, he broke his forearm, came back like a warrior, like the thrower that he is. And you're thinking like, hey, off of everything that I've given to this team, everything that I've done for this defense and my importance on this team, you would think that he would get taken care of. But I will say the flip side of that is Brad has been saying this for a while. And I think you guys just said it a couple minutes ago. There is a bill coming. And I was under the impression that when we were talking about these offseason deals, I was under the impression that Anza would have been taken care of first, and then that you probably would have worked out something a little bit different with Derek Barnes. That's not the case. So now you got to go from here. And with that bill coming, Zalone could be the odd man out after this year. It just is what it is. And I guess you could say it's unfortunate, but at the same time, this guy is not getting any younger. And I believe that they're going to be grooming, well, we've already seen it, Jack Campbell for that role. So it's just one of those situations where they had the Lions just made a move, and fans are either going to love it, they're either going to hate it, but at the same time, Anzo's getting up there, and you got to keep this thing moving. And I don't know if it was the necessarily the smartest move to kind of let him come in here disgruntled, and I don't even know if it was the smartest move, like you guys said, for him to say that he would play without a deal. But that's where we're at, and I think they should do what they can to appease him and make him happy going into camp. I just thought the one interesting thing that kind of threw me off is, you know we're hearing one day that Anzalone crushed his physicals, and then the next day, okay, he's out with a hamstring injury. So it's you know, Dan said he doesn't think it's some kind of holding situation, but it's just that just kind of comes off weird that yeah, he crushed his physical, but he has a hamstring injury. That's
Yeah, it
kind of
looks
weird.
that way. It does
Yeah.
feel that way.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and Kory, even with that, kind of being in the room with Dan Campbell when he is talking about that, we played the video yesterday of him kind of going over the Anzo stuff, and then at the end, it was the question was asked in regards to Anzo, do you think it's a hold in? And he's like, "There's just no way." And it seemed kind of. I'm not sarcastic from Dan, but it was definitely a different Dan. You've been in the room with Dan a million times. Did it feel a little different, like Dan kind of addressing this Anzo situation, or was it kind of straightforward? Because when we watched it, we were like, that usually Dan's straight up with the media. That one felt a little like it felt like I don't know if there was tension between him and Dan and Brad, or if maybe Dan's on Anzo's side. Again, how do you kind of get a feel for that when you're in that room with Dan talking about it? Is there anything?
Dan's a straight shooter. That hasn't changed. If he doesn't want to answer something, or if he thinks something is, out of pocket, he'll let you know. I think Dan is such a football guy that he just could not fathom that Anzalone is holding out and doing holding out or faking some type of injury. Like he just couldn't fathom that. That's kind of the vibe I got. Like it's no way it can be that. Not that he was just trying to like play coy or anything like that.
Yeah, I just want to throw out there too another question that I have here. The offensive line, Kory, that's been kind of the bigger, one of the bigger storylines with Tate Ratledge now taking over at center. It looks like, and Graham, Graham coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm glad to be back at right guard." How has that offensive line looked through the first 2 or 3 days?
It's looks solid. Tate has looked solid out there. Again, it's really it's really hard to get a tell until Friday. I think come Monday we will have a better idea because I can say that, hey, this guy looks phenomenal. He's done this, he does that, and then when they put on the pads, everything I said gets, undermined by another article I write later or something like that. So right now, I mean, it just looks good. Tate has looked better than he started. Manu looked great out there. Panay is Panay, but again, I think we won't really get a true measure of how that line looks until these guys are hitting, until they're really, they're in the trenches of things.
Well, you mentioned Jack Campbell, and I mean, Dan, I thought this quote was very, very interesting. He said, "This is Jack's defense." Like, you don't just say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something you don't throw out there. He's handling the mic responsibilities very well. What have you made of Jack so far in camp? I know the big thing with him we talk about is his coverage ability, and I know he's had some pass breakups. He's been, at times sticky in coverage so far. I know, again, he's a player that you have to judge with pads on, but just how he's moving, his mindset, like what have you kind of noticed from last year to this year with Jack Campbell so far in training camp?
I have not really paid that much attention to Jack Campbell, to be quite honest. I was looking at these are the things that I've been looking at so far in training camp because we kind of split up the responsibilities. I've been looking at the
Yep.
running backs, the wide receivers, the secondary, and I've been looking at that D line. So I'm going to be looking at Jack Campbell and those linebackers a little bit more closely this coming Thursday when they go ahead and get back to practice, especially on Friday when they put on the pass. So I do not want to, give you a fluff answer when it comes to Jack.
So,
But the
and,
one thing I will say I've heard from others is that, I mean, he looks business as usual.
well, let me ask you then about the receivers because it's a perfect transition. Jameson
Yeah.
Williams, that's something that you said you were talking to him. He mentioned John Morton, mentioned how John's given him more of the route running responsibilities, which that's kind of what we've talked about here on the show as well. Like last year, he showed his explosive talents fully with Ben Johnson. But we've always said here, and I know you feel this way, like JMO has a lot more potential with his route running, how you can use him. Seems like John Morton's kind of allowing him to run more routes, have more of a route tree. What do you think of what he can be this year? I know people bring up the question, could he lead the team in receiving yards? Do you think it's a crazy thing to say based on how he kind of looks in camp, or do you think this is Amon-Ra's receiving room and JMO is just going to improve his production?
Well, I mean, Amon-Ra could lead it. Jameson Williams could lead it. I don't think that really matters I don't think that really matters in the grand scheme of things with this offense, but I mean, he definitely could. I mean, Jameson Williams has the potential to be one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league if he puts everything together. I mean, the way this dude jogs faster than most people run at their top speed. So, and the one thing that he has to really get down pack is, getting those hands together. And he's had a couple up and down days so far, but I mean, overall, he is the one thing I've noticed that just really jumps off with Jameson right now is he feels a bit more mature. Not saying that it was real immaturity last year, but when you're talking to him, when you see his vibe and you're right up there or close with him, you're feeling like this is a guy that is taking football seriously. He's all business. He's as intense. That's still intensity. That's still kid-like atmosphere. He's still that on the field, but he's also out there just, constantly talking with the receivers, constantly talking with coaches, constantly figuring out, okay, who's doing what, trying to he's even out there talking with DJ Reed, trying to figure out, okay, what are opposing defenses doing if I go ahead and do this. This is the guy that is locked in on football.
And Kory, you mentioned that you kind of had your eyes on the secondary the last few days. the big thing I think, at least for me, that I'm kind of looking for in the secondary is Tyrion Arnold taking a year 1 to year 2 step. And Dan kind of spoke about that at the owners meeting, that year 2 steps, one of the biggest jumps for especially DBs and corners in the NFL. Does it feel like, I know a lot of reports coming out of camp today that Tyrion had a couple big time pass breakups, I think an interception on Amon-Ra in the one-on-ones. Does it clearly kind of look like, hey, Tyrion is a different type of player from his rookie season? Obviously, we all know that he struggled at times, but does he look a little more confident, playmaking abilities and things like that at that corner spot?
Oh yeah, on top of that interception, he had some good time covering Jameson Williams. He was making life out there hell for him. So I would say that this guy's the guy that is really starting to get his timing down, knowing when to balance, being aggressive and being more technical. I believe this is going to be a big year for Terry. I mean, also too, I mean, this guy was a rookie last year. He needs time to grow. And this is no disrespect to Tyrion, but I mean, everybody's not going to step in the league and be Sauce Gardner on year one. Some guys just, it takes some time, and I think he's going to be able to take that step. And he's one thing that people don't really understand is this is a really smart player. I mean, this is a guy that when DJ Reed, a veteran defensive back in this league, joined this team, DJ Reed is listening to Tyrion Arnold about certain things about breaking down the plays and how the Lions do stuff, and how their secondary unit works. And, for a guy like Reed who could really just come in and help teach him some things, for him to be able to sit back and humble, show that humility and learn from a player that's only about to start his second league in the season, just shows you where Arnold's IQ is at. Now he just has to put that all together on the field. And so far, again, they're in their PJs, but he's been looking good. And I think that this could be the season where he puts everything together with under this new defense under Kellen Shepard.
Yeah, Kory, a player that me and Booner were texting about because the fan base and including us, we've been critical of Marcus Davenport, not on a talent level, just on a staying healthy level, which he obviously can't control, but it's just has less to do with Davenport, more to do with Brad Holmes trusting his ability to stay healthy. It's nothing personal, but can't help but feel bad for the dude. I mean, when he talked to the media today, and he just seemed like so over the bullshit. Like that's kind of what it came off across as. Like he's just kind of like, hey, I just want to do my thing. I'm sick of people talking about me, good or bad. And if you're looking for a guy across from Hutch, don't think of me. What'd you think of just kind of what his comments are and just what you think he can be for the Lions as maybe potentially someone that could shock some people, or is there still fair to be concerned about him staying healthy?
I think it is fair for fans to be concerned about Marcus Davenport being healthy, just given the amount of games or lack thereof that he's played over the past 2 seasons. But I also do think that while it's understandable that journalists like myself are going to ask him these questions about his health, about playing opposite Hutch, there's also a human element to it as well in his defense, where it's almost like it's everybody against him is like, okay, because I've had this injury history, people are pretty much talking to you like you're damaged, or like from a fan base standpoint, they're talking
Right.
to you like you're damaged goods. Like, okay, we're writing this guy off before he even touches the field. What can you do to play opposite Hutch? It's like it's not about, hey, what can you do? What are you looking to do to to bring to this team this season? What have you worked on? It's more so about the injury history and about being opposite Hutch. It's kind of like, hey, I'm just a throw. It's kind of like almost like he's the throwaway pieces. That is how the perception of him is, and that thing. I'm just kind of psychoanalyzing. I'm thinking that might be why he might be over it. And if that's the case, that's understandable. Like, who wants to be kind of like talked to like your second fiddle? I mean, even though playing next to Hutch, you're going to be second
Yeah.
fiddle. It's just that. Come on, like it's just how you're going to talk to me about it. That could probably be annoying after a while.
Yeah, you could tell, and I kind of felt bad a little bit just because it's just a lot of those questions for him. It's just like you're spot on with that, Corey. Just
Just,
constantly
just,
hearing
just,
that.
just think about this. You're training your hardest. You're training your hardest to get your body together to be out there to play this violent sport, and your body but is betraying you. You're already frustrated with that to
Yeah,
begin with. Then you got to deal with the perception about, oh, the Lions are bringing back injured players. Oh, they should have gave them this chance. Why did they do this? He sees all this stuff. He hears all this stuff, whether these players say it or not. They're human, so that's gonna be annoying. So of course, if you're hearing about how you're damaged goods, how Brad shouldn't have brought you back, how they shouldn't have gave you this money, and now you got to go ahead and go stand in front of people and answer to that. I'm gonna be over it as well.
yeah, I'm with you on that. It's a I feel bad for him in an aspect with that side of things. Another player, Corey, that has had an injury kind of passed, and it just came up again. Levi O. You said you were kind of locked in on some of this D line the last few days with the Levi O injury being out for the season. Is there any players that you've seen over the last 48, 72 hours that can step up and kind of take over that might surprise some player or some fans this season?
Nothing that's really jumped out at me. I just will say this. DJ Reader looks pretty damn good, be
Let's
fully
go.
healthy
Oh,
coming into
love
camp.
that.
I'll just say that much. So I'll keep my eye on some other guys. Nobody's really jumped off the screen at me yet, but DJ Reader, for a guy that could not come into camp last season healthy, he looks healthy now, and that's gonna be a big plus for them coming out the gate because I mean you don't know, Wingo's gonna be coming back later. Aleem's gonna be coming back later down in the season, and again, we just mentioned Levi's out for the season. So that's just this is good to see Reader step up. I want to see how Roy Lopez looks when he comes back. He had an unfortunate situation, got his foot stepped on and the cleat twisted on top of his foot, pretty nasty stuff. So yeah.
Oh, well, last one for me, Corey. I'm not sure if you've seen him personally, but just with what people are saying, Dan spoke about it as well. Like the Hendon Hooker stuff. He had a great day in practice, and me and Booner talked about it yesterday. And this is just your thoughts. My thing on this is, if they didn't think he could play, I think they would have brought in some better competition than Kyle Allen. I don't think that's a crazy take. Where are you at with the Hendon Hooker storyline, and kind of what he, I guess, looks like from his second year, I guess his first year, he didn't, whatever, to now, what he's doing, and your confidence he could take that backup spot.
Well, just in my personal opinion, Kyle Allen hasn't looked that bad. I mean, and also too, he's an experienced veteran in this league. So, I mean, I understand why they brought him in. But when you're talking about Hooker to me has been looking sensational. And I say that, again, no pads, but he's not going to get hit anyway. But it's the simple fact that he looks more confident and comfortable in the pocket. He's putting some zip on that ball. His accuracy looks night and day better than what it looked like in recent camps at this point. So I'm curious to see how things look once they go ahead and get the pads on. But Hooker has looked like a different quarterback. I've been a person that has been critical of him in years past, just from what I've seen in training camp. But I mean, you got to give it to him so far. It's been a solid showing. I would say solid to stellar showing over the past couple of days, and I'm curious to see what he's going to do over the next couple of weeks to pretty much solidify his spot in the number two role.
Hey, I don't know why we haven't asked you this yet, Corey, because you've been there and you've been able to see all of the new coordinators, Kelvin Shepard and Johnny Morton, working with the team and actually going out there and doing reps and 11 on 11. How do those guys look so far? How are the players kind of reacting to new coordinators in the building there?
I don't think too much has changed from the Kelvin Shepherd side of things. I think that's a guy that was well respected in that room. His intensity has not changed. He just because he stepped from linebackers coach to defensive coordinator, he's still the same Kelvin Shepherd, and that defense is responding. But I will say this about John Morton: that is a very these are three things that I've taken away from players that I've talked to in the offense, and they've all pretty much said some variation of the same thing, and you see it when he's out there coaching. Intense, very detailed, and is clear on what he wants. John Morton is not out there playing no games. we're not allowed to say the things that he said, but let's just say this is a guy that means business. And even today, speaking with Jamison Williams and speaking with Khalif Raymond. Again, John Morton is known for his work with wide receivers. They said this guy is just on point every step of the way of what he looks for and how he wants it done. And that is big. Again, another guy, Craig Reynolds. He didn't want to make fun of John Morton, but he said the way that he was just getting out there and being specific about how he wanted certain things with them coming out the backfield. He said it was just unique to see. So we'll see how that looks when they go ahead and get on the field, and whether Morton is able to take this offense into a different gear. But I mean, a lot of guys have been saying the same thing: intense, detailed, and it's clear on what he's expecting.
The Johnny Mo Show. All right, Kory. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work, my friend. Nice talking to you as always. And good luck this week. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a good one.
There
Appreciate
you go.
it, Kory.
Kory Woods joining the fellas talking NFL training camp, Detroit Lions training camp. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, FisherCTSports.com.